Alright, so this is a little video on how to make sure your snare drum sounds good when using brushes. So when using brushes on a snare drum, a lot of times we're doing some stirring motion, and the quality of that sound is directly related to the quality and condition of the drum head that's on the drum. So this drum has a cheap factory head. It's a Tama factory head, and it's definitely used. It's not totally beat, but even though it says it's a coated head and it is white, there really isn't much coating on this head. It's very, very smooth. I mean, you can feel the coating at the edge, and I think even when this head was new, the coating on it was super thin and just really cheap. And that doesn't sound good when you're stirring with brushes. We want a certain amount of texture, and we're not going to get that out of this cheap head. So just for a comparison, I'll stir on this head so we can hear what it sounds like. Yeah, sounds kind of crappy. It's not loud because there's very little coating on it, and I keep hitting this logo over here, which I'm not really able to show that now, but when I played the pattern, like, you hear it every time I run across it. It's just not a good sounding head for brushes when stirring on the snare drum, which we do a lot when we're playing brushes. So what's the lesson here? The lesson is that this head has got to go, and we got to put a decent quality coated head on it. So I happened to buy a head for this drum, and I have Remo Emperor coated, which is a 2-ply coated head. And this will sound much better on this drum because this is good quality coating that'll sound great with brushes. So I am going to swap this head out, and I'll be back in a sec. Alright, so I got this head swapped out, and we get this brand new coated Emperor on here, which will sound great for brushes and it'll sound great for everything else. But the thing is, brand new coated drum heads, most of them, the coating is a little too heavy. It's a little too toothy. It's a little too textured. So when we go in with brushes, A, it's too loud a lot of times, and B, the brushes get sort of snagged on the actual coating. So when I play this and stir, you can see that it sounds not so great, and that my brushes are sort of getting hung up on that texture. So when I go this way, it's too much texture, right? So this is normal. And the solution to this is cha-ching, sandpaper. So 220 grit sandpaper. I like to just go over the head with this. You can go a little bit finer grit if you want. I probably wouldn't go coarser than 220. And I'm just trying to go around and maybe this way and this way in as even as a fashion as possible. And I'm not putting too much pressure on it. It's pretty light. It doesn't take much, really, to drop the tooth on the coating to get it to where I want it. So it's basically like this. Okay, and just blow off the dust. And so, I mean, that was a fair amount of sanding, but again, I wasn't putting much pressure on the paper. It was just a very light touch, so just trying to get a smooth as possible surface. So let's see if that's any better. Yeah, it's way better, but I would say for me, I even want to go a little bit more on that. Okay, I'll try that. Yeah, super smooth. My wires aren't getting hung up on that texture at all. It's not all loud and jagged sounding. Now it's just nice and smooth, and it feels better too. It's really silky. Okay, cool. Thumbs up. So that's the trick. See you in the next video.